Hi guys, in this video I'm going to talk about how to influence the ocean behavior in different ways, such as changing the shape of the ocean or adding foam to the ocean surface. To do that, we need to add to the ocean data, which is in the simulation. To see this data, one way to do it is to have this ocean debug GUI attached to a game object in your scene. This is in the example content from Crest. So if I press play now, if I have the GUI open and I have the show sim data selected, then I'll see a bunch of checkboxes along the bottom. The rightmost one is the anim waves, and that has the ocean surface displacement, so the shape of the surface. The next one is the foam data, which I can visualize. You can see the shape of the island there because the shoreline is generating foam. There's also a shadow data. If I move the camera around, that populates that data because it's populated from the shadow maps. And the final data is the seafloor depth data, which gives the water depth, and that influences the shallow water and the foam. So we can actually add our own data into this simulation. The way to do that is to add a plane to the scene. A quad also works as well, but I'll pick a plane because it's just easier to get started. I'll put it at roughly the sea height here. And all of the inputs for the ocean are going to be kind of rendered from a top-down point of view. Just like that data that you saw in those buffers, everything's from a top-down viewpoint. So I'll just make sure that I have the surface of the plane visible pointing upwards, which is the default for a plane. I don't need a collider, so I'll remove that. And now the first thing we'll do is we'll actually set the water height and we'll push the water down. That's a very useful thing to do because maybe there's an area of the land where I don't want the water to be visible, and I can easily just push it down so it's not visible. So I need to add a special material to this plane to do that. So I'm going to create a material. I'll just call it ocean input for simplicity here. And now I want to select one of the input shaders. So if I select the shader, go under Crest Inputs, I then see a menu for each type of ocean data that I can influence. And then if I go to the animated waves, that's the shape and the water heights. And I can actually select the set water height to geometry. So that's simply going to set the water height to this plane, and we can run it straight away. And we should, oh, sorry, I haven't assigned it to the plane yet. So I need to drag that guy onto the plane, and then I need to add a component that actually registers this input with the ocean system. So I need to pick one of these register scripts, and in this case, as I said, it's the animated waves. We want to change the shape of the water, so it's that one. And now we'll see this gizmo with the yellow wireframe. That's yellow indicating that it's an animated wave input that's now been enabled. So if I press play there, I should be able to observe this flat area of the water, over here. So I'll go back into the scene view to make this more obvious and move out a little bit. So I can move this into the open ocean and actually push it down or pull it up. And obviously I can change the height. I mean, this can be any geometry that I like really, but it's simple to make it apply to a plane. So using that, I'd be able to push the water underneath some of the terrain, for example. So we'll try a different type of data now. I this time want to create an input for the foam. So I'm going to shove a bunch of foam into the sim just as a demo. So in this case, we don't want to make an animated waves input, we want to make a foam input. So I'll just switch that component, and now you see that the wireframe rendering turns white. So white is the color we use for foam inputs. And now we want to change our ocean input to be a foam input. So if I expand out foam, there's two there currently. So I can say add from texture. And this is now going to expect a texture to use to input into the foam. So I'm just going to add a blob of foam, and I'll just use Unity's default particle texture. So we can see a little bit what that's going to do from here. And it's got a strength parameter that will control how much foam is added. But I'll leave it at the default for now. And if I press play, then I can see this patch of foam has been added. So yeah, we can have some fun with this by showing the foam data, and then if I dock that tab over here, I can move that around and actually paint shapes into the foam, which is kind of fun. So yeah, this can be used for well, adding foam where you want it, really. It's also useful to put this underneath a boat to try to bulk up the wake or the amount of foam that the boat leaves behind. But yeah, I think that's basically what I wanted to cover in this video, is just to highlight a couple of useful ocean inputs and how to create them and apply them. But I'd also point out that these inputs are really easy to create. So if you can inspect the data and decide that you want to add or remove from that texture. So you can create your own shader, set the blend type to the blend type that you want, and you should be able to achieve most things, I think. I'm also very interested to hear what you guys want added to that list of ocean inputs. So please let us know, because yeah, they're easy and fun to add. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, guys.